Welcome to Fancounters. My name's Nick.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And Elizabeth, I had a very interesting experience on Friday.
Okay.
So as you know, I've been targeting a lot of music artists when they come to the area to get them on the show.
Yes.
So I contacted Leanne Rimes' people. They're very nice. They got back to me and said, Leanne doesn't do interviews on show days.
Oh.
Well, that's too bad. But I was going to see her anyway. Maybe
Okay.
she'll be on the show via phone or something at some point. I'll stay in touch with them. But I went to her concert, and it was an acoustic show.
Oh.
Now, Leanne doesn't play the guitar, so she had a guitar player with her. What she has done is, like, out of this world amazing. You would not really see any big-name artist, even of the past, do what she did. She was on stage, and, I mean, she really was herself. She was free with her words, the things that she said, the stories that she told, all awesome. She's remastered all of her old hits into like new versions. She's put new like tempos and things behind them. So
Like even her signature Blue?
Blue was mostly the same, but like One Way Ticket was a favorite of mine, and she totally like slowed it down and made it very bluesy, and it was really cool. Just the fact that she's up there herself with a microphone and nothing, like there's no filters on this sound. Her voice is amazing.
Wow.
I don't think artists are brave enough these days to go on stage
Without any mixing, yeah.
yeah, and just belt it out. And she was phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah, totally worth seeing.
Kind of like she was just singing at the house cleaning or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And it's funny. The theater that we saw her at has a bar in the middle of the venue, basically, and it turns in a circle.
The bar does?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
awesome. She was threatening the whole show to dance on the bar. And I was like, oh, please do it. I want some good social media video, you know? And during the encore, while everybody's like clapping for her to come back out, she goes, I really thought about coming out and dancing on the bar. She goes, but there's a lot of unknowns. She says, I've been looking at that bar and it looks narrow. I'm afraid of falling off of it. She goes, just so many things could go wrong. She goes, I want to do it for you, but I'm not going to.
Aw.
Totally a sweetheart.
That's good. At least her brain's kicked in there, and it's not always a good idea to dance on the bar.
Right. So I teased on Twitter. Again, we're trying to get fans to our new Twitter page, which is @FanCountersLive. I did tease it this weekend that I was at the park with my kids, and there was an incident with a gun. Totally freaky. Not anything drastic, but so here's the deal. There's kids playing at the park. Parents are around as well. So we get to the park, and my kids start playing, and all of a sudden I notice this woman is walking around with a handgun on her hip. And I was like, this just didn't feel right. These weren't the kind of people who would be classified as upstanding citizens.
Okay.
They looked sketchy to begin with.
So not a law officer.
No, not a, no. Mm-mm.
Obviously.
They
if
weren't even watching their kids. That's what upset me the most is if you're not even going to pay attention to your little kids who, like my girls were swinging. So they're going back and forth about this little 3-year-old, 2-year-old, I don't even know, is walking between the girls swinging. I'm like, little boy, you need to come out of there. And I was saying it loud enough to hopefully get the parents' attention. No.
Wow.
They're not even paying attention. I'm like, if you can't be responsible for your kids, how are you going to be responsible with that gun?
Well, actually, which is kind of ironic because the state of Wisconsin does not allow open
I think they
carry.
do.
No, only concealed carry. You may not open carry in Wisconsin.
You're kidding.
No, I don't believe you can.
I should have called the police then.
I
I
don't-
thought open carry was a thing here.
No, I do not believe you can open carry in Wisconsin. You can conceal carry with
Yeah,
a permit.
With a permit, yeah.
But you may not open carry in Wisconsin unless you're a law officer.
Well, it was a very tense situation. In
Yeah.
fact,
Spooky.
a group of kids from a daycare had walked over with their people, their adult people that were watching them, and I went up to the adults and I said, you should know before you bring all these kids over here,
Right.
the woman behind me, she's got a gun on her hip. And they're like, all right, kids, we got to go back. We forgot something. Someone has to leave early. And then they all left, and we left shortly after that. It just was uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
They
Yeah.
weren't paying attention to anything.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Mm-mm. So those are my stories for this week. We got a
Okay.
great guest. Let's get to her, okay? She's on the phone waiting for us.
Yeah.
You're in for a treat today, guys. Our guest today is Malynda Hale, and Malynda just released a new music album titled The One. She also recently opened shows for the band O-Town. Do you remember O-Town?
I do. Weren't they created like on like a reality show, like MTV or ABC or something like that?
Yep. I don't remember how many years ago it was, but I did watch the show where they were picking bands and trying, anyway, they were the winner on that show. So they're still together. She opened up shows for them. So I want to hear a little bit about how that went down, because she's been a fan of them her whole life.
Wow.
Malynda's also the host of her own podcast focusing on female empowerment. It's called Boss Please. And of course, it deals with the topic of female executives and all around girl bosses. You should be on the show because you sure know how to boss me around.
Yeah, I love that. And remember, it's not bossy, it's leadership skills.
Right. I've seen that on a T-shirt.
Malynda solidified her position in the music world in 2017 when she won the Best Female Vocalist at the Hollywood Music and Media Awards. The same year, she was the vocal headliner. Malynda is the face of Valana Minerals, one of the few brands that are cruelty-free beauty products made for women of color. We've got a lot to get through this week, so let's get right to it.
Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is Fancounters with Nick and Elizabeth on the PodFix network.
There was this mob of people, and they're screaming my name.
Crazy fans!
Stop following me. Don't come around my house. If you do, the cops are going to be at yours.
If I'm having dinner with my wife, don't sit down at my table. Don't follow me into the bathroom.
I continually will get stopped.
Can I take a picture? We're going to, oh my God.
I think this guy wants to fight me. Ended up being a fan.
I'm the only one that's ever been on Sam Jackson and lived to tell about it.
That's why we call it Fancounters.
I don't think you're going to last on the air very long.
All right, Malynda Hale, welcome to Fancounters. Thanks for being here.
Of course, thanks for having me.
You bet. This week we have taken the opportunity to listen to some cuts from your new EP, The One. And while looking at your website, I was actually really surprised to see that you're going to be just about 5 miles from our studio this Sunday night when you appear in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin at the Magic Mansion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, how awesome.
That's incredible.
I'm really excited about that show.
I have to tell you, it's a major coincidence because I just thought, well, let's see where she's going to be. Let's see what shows we can promote. And I was like, wait a minute.
She's coming here.
It's in our backyard.
That's so cool.
Are you familiar with that venue where you're going to be playing?
I'm not, so I'm really excited to play. But I do a lot of shows through this agency called Concerts in Your Home that provide independent artists with venues to perform at. So I've done a little bit of touring through that agency, and this is one of the ones that was on there that wanted to host me and have a concert there. So I'm really excited.
Nice.
Yeah, I have not been there, but I might end up seeing you on Sunday night because I know you're there now because that would be really cool to follow up this interview with.
Oh, so cool. Yeah.
You're actually going to be performing on like it's like a mansion, it really is, but the porch of it, and like 350 or 500 people sit in the lawn and watch. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What if it rains?
I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I guess if it rains, people get wet.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. So let's start with
I guess they have a plan B if it rains. So
okay.
We'll see what happens.
We'll put up a tent.
All right.
You never
then.
know.
I don't know.
So Malynda, tell me, when people come to see your show, what can they expect from a live performance?
You know, I am very authentic and real on stage, and I love to engage with the audience, and I love getting people to sing and telling a little bit of stories about myself and about the songs, and I'm just very real. So I feel like people will feel like they're my friend after a show. You know, they don't necessarily feel like they're just watching an artist, that they enjoy their music, but someone that they could also have coffee with afterwards. You know, I want everybody to feel comfortable and authentic and feel like they're getting a piece of me when they see me perform.
So storytelling is a part of your show.
Yes, it's a huge part of my show. Absolutely.
So what do you enjoy most about performing live?
I love looking out into the audience and seeing people happy and then seeing people sing along. Even if, you know, I'm getting new audience and people that may necessarily not have heard some of my music before, or have heard of me before, seeing them sing along by the end of a song, it really gives me so much joy, because that means that my music is making an impact on them. And that's the whole reason why I do this in the first place. So that is one of the greatest things for me with performing.
Just a few days ago, you opened up for a band that you've been a fan of for a long time, O-Town.
Yeah. Yeah. I was 17 again.
Because they came from that reality show, Making the Band, which I remember.
Yes.
It's surprising that they're still together, because a lot of those things they put together on television don't really last that long, but these guys have made it.
They don't. Yeah, well, it's funny. They took a long break, and one of the members actually went off to do acting. So it's only 4 of them now, but they rebooted a couple of years ago because I feel like a lot of people have been wanting that nostalgia and wanting that 90s, early 2000s again. I know a lot of my friends, like, we still listen to that music because that's what we grew up on. So when they rebooted, their fans from back then immediately came back. And so they've been touring and they've been successful. And even watching their show, and I've gotten to know them, become friends with them and everything, but even watching their show live, it didn't feel like it was a boy band trying to reboot and they're like older now. They really felt very relevant with all of the music that they have and are putting out now. So it was really, really cool to see them perform again.
That's awesome. Now, what was it, a surreal experience for you? What was it like when you got the call to say, hey, we want you to do these shows? And then when you got there, walk me through what you were feeling.
No, for sure. I mean, definitely when I got the call from the booking agent, like, hey, we want you to open for them, I played it cool, but then literally hung up and called my sister, and we were like screaming. I was so excited. And then just being there, I had this moment where, like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I've been working towards, being able to open for a bigger artist and have my career grow. And it just felt like I was in the right place at the right time, and it felt good. I felt very content and happy and comforted by the fact that I was doing what I love and what I've been working so hard for.
So I read that this summer you were doing some smaller venues, and this tour led you to being on stage with just a piano and no band. What type of solo show? That sounds absolutely scary as heck. Let me just tell you. So,
oh, my God.
Was that type of solo show intimidating to take on?
Absolutely. And I know I maybe it makes me masochist, but I kind of like challenging myself with the things that I'm afraid of the most. And I write all of my songs on piano, but no part of me ever wants to perform them live on piano. So I have the genius idea, hey, why don't I tour by myself and just with a piano? And, it challenged me in a way I never thought possible. It made me a better musician. It made me a better singer. And it taught me how to even get stronger in my storytelling because it was just me on stage. I couldn't, play off of my band. I couldn't make jokes with my band or do anything like that. It was really just me. And I learned so much doing that. So I did about 12 shows like that. And in between that, I did have some full band shows. Like I did a big show at Navy Pier. I did, some shows in Southern California. Obviously did the show, The Troubadour, with my band for O-Town. So I did some shows throughout. But majority of the tour was just me. And it was really special because I always doubt my piano playing. I write my songs and then I give them to my musical director and he deals with them. But it was great to hear people say, like, oh, you should play for yourself more. Like, you're great. It's really wonderful. So I had a lot of comfort in doing that. And I grew a lot as an artist.
Now, you have been singing very early on since you were a child. And I'm sure early in your life, you felt that this was the right music was the right pursuit for you, but it doesn't always work out for everybody. So did you have a backup plan? Was there another career that you were thinking about going into if this music thing didn't quite work?
I never had a backup plan. I just knew that I would always have a career in music, regardless if it was me performing or not. I knew that I, either wanted to, which I do. I run a music agency that books other artists for different events. And I have a small indie label that I haven't really gone forward with too much, but I knew that no matter what, I was going to work in the music industry. So even when I graduated college, I kind of made a vow to myself that I wasn't going to work in the service industry or do something that had nothing to do with music. So I was a music teacher for a while. Like, no matter what I did, I wanted to make sure that music was a part of my life because that had always been my passion since day one. So I guess I can't say that there was a backup plan because it's always been music, but I've always known that I'm going to be a performer, and I've pushed myself to make sure that performing is what I've done. But I've always been able to make my income and make a living from music, and I feel like I'm very blessed to even be able to say that because a lot of people aren't.
That's true, yeah.
So early in your career, obviously people would say no because I don't know anybody that just gets a yes all the time. So how did you
say no?
Yeah, well, that's kind of that's always fascinating to me. What drives you, and how do you handle that no? Because it's hard when you've put something together that you're artistically proud of, and then somebody just goes no. So how do you handle that?
Oh, it hurts. It hurts. In the beginning, it definitely didn't handle it very well. I would definitely get into those phases of I'm a failure, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this, like I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. I think everybody has those feelings. But there came a point when I was just like, you know what, if I'm happy with something, I need to be happy with it and just go forward and figure out how to get this in front of the right audience, how to get this in front of the right people. And no matter what, no matter how many no's I get, I'm going to get a yes eventually. And I know that's true for so many people that have had success in their career. Like you said, nobody gets yes all the time. So definitely in the beginning, it was harder to handle. But I think now in my life, I can get past it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just supposed to go to the next door that's supposed to open for me. This wasn't meant to be. This wasn't what I'm supposed to do. And it's easier for me to move on. But it is hard. Nobody likes to be rejected. Right. But I've learned that no really isn't that dirty of a word. It's not that bad.
It's not going to kill you.
You along because you have a podcast, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But with this show, we've been told no a lot.
We get no a lot, yes.
Yeah. Oh, so, yeah.
You know, that's why, you know, you can't stop. You got to, if you really want something, you have to go for it.
Right.
Now, you've got your 4th album just released this past June. It's called The One. Is that right? It's your 4th one?
Yeah, correct.
Awesome. So tell me about the decision. Why did you decide that this album deserved to be called The One?
One of the songs on the album is called The One. And I remember when one of the producers I was working with, her name is Kamika Purnell, she'd come over and we were trying to find like the last song for it. And I didn't hear anything. I wasn't motivated. And we started playing around with some tracks, and I was like, oh, these are good, but, you know, I don't feel it. Mm-hmm. And then she was like, well, I have this one track. I haven't really played it for anybody. You know, maybe you'll like this one. And she had it kind of in her archive. And so she pulled it up, and immediately I was like, this is the one. This is the song I've been looking for. And so I immediately started writing to it, and the words and the melody just really flowed out of me. And then I brought on my friend Anna Harrington, who is a co-writer with me on a few songs, and we kind of revamped a couple of the verses, and it all just fell into place, and it all felt right. And I thought, you know, this moment, really, I have to name the EP this. This has to be the title track and the title of the EP, because this was the moment I realized I found that one song I was looking for. And then I noticed that throughout a lot of the songs, I kind of had that theme of the one or a one going throughout the lyrics. So it was really cool, and it kind of all fell into place.
Now, the album has 5 tracks, and all of the songs, when I was listening, seem to have a personal connection. Which one's your favorite on the album?
Ooh, that's a hard one. It kind of changes day to day, honestly. But I think the song that means the most to me is definitely track number 3, which is We Run, because I think it's the most personal song for me, and it's a song that truly is just my heart and a page and my feelings currently. And I wrote it for the Black Lives Matter movement, and it really is just my feelings in a song. And I think that if anybody wants to get a glimpse into my heart and who I am just as a person, that's the song to listen to for sure.
Now, do you write all your own music?
I do. It's a good thing, and it's also me being stubborn.
You wrote all 5 tracks?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I wrote all 5 tracks. Yeah. You know, co-writing is something that's very new to me, and it's something that scares me because I want to be able to make sure that my voice is heard. But the people that I have co-written songs with know me very well, so we've been able to come up with some really, really good songs, and I'm blessed that I've been able to have those type of people in my life. But I do like to write my own music because I just want my own voice heard, and I want things to be sung and said the way that I want them to be. But I'm all for, if somebody can say something better than me, then by all means.
Okay.
Are you nervous ever about putting all your personal emotions and experiences into songs for everybody to hear and critique and all of that?
Absolutely. I mean, it was at first, and I definitely shied away from it in the beginning of my career. But I've learned that the older I get and the more my career grows, people want to feel like they know the artist that they look up to or the artist that they admire. And so I start to let more and more of me come out in these songs, and it really warms my heart when I get messages on social media or people come up to me at shows saying that song was exactly how I was feeling, because even if I'm writing it from a personal place. I try to make it general enough so that people can relate. So when I get a comment from somebody saying that that's exactly what I did, it really makes me feel good and knows that I'm doing something right.
So the song Something Worth Fighting For has been linked to female empowerment and the Black Lives Matter movement. Was there a specific incident that sparked that for you?
I think Something Worth Fighting For was definitely more sparked for the Me Too movement for sure. Just, to remind people that we're fighting for something, and, you have to get up and you have to do it, and you can't be afraid to do it. So that song was definitely more of an anthem leaned towards that for sure.
Now, when people listen to the album or even your previous releases, what do you hope that people are taking away from your music?
I hope people feel inspired and empowered for sure. I like to write music that's positive and for everybody and encouraging and galvanizes people to, do what they, to stand up for what they believe in and do what they feel is right. So I feel like when they listen to my music, they'll leave smiling and feel encouraged, very much so, because that's what I think my job as a songwriter is to give positivity into the world through music.
So if you were to release an album of collaborations with other artists who you are fans of or have influenced you, who do you think you'd like to do that with?
So the number one person would be Gavin DeGraw. He's like my entire world as far as artists and songwriters go. He's truly everything. I love how he functions as an independent artist.
Mm-hmm.
I love his songwriting. I love his musicianship. So he's number one, and I've met him and I've told him, I'm like, look, we need to do a song together. So clear your schedule because it's going to happen. Definitely Gavin. India Ari for sure. I just love the soulfulness that she brings to her music. Sarah Bareilles, Colby Calais, people like that. I just really love really good singer-songwriters that have deep, meaningful lyrics and focus on a good quality vocal performance. That's usually who I'm drawn to.
Didn't I run across that you were a fan of Richard Marx too?
Oh my gosh! So yes, I know that's weird because nobody ever mentions him. But
you didn't mention him, so I was like,
world,
wait a minute. I
we
thought
love him.
right. We grew up in that era.
Yeah, I feel like he's so forgotten about. He's
Well, he
an
is.
incredible songwriter. My favorite song in the world is Now and Forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a perfectly written love song. So yes, I love Richard Marx.
He's timeless, I think. He should be anyway.
I agree. Now, have you ever been starstruck?
Well, wait a minute, because the question before that is, you've met Richard Marx or no?
I have not met him.
Oh, you got to make that happen.
But yeah.
All right. Well, now
and then send him our way.
Right.
Because we'd like to talk to him.
Oh, I love it.
So my question is, have you ever been starstruck?
There have been a few times, and I mean, I've definitely been in LA. I've seen a bunch of celebrities. I'm friends with a good amount of celebrities, but the one starstruck time I had in my life, it happened as recently, actually. I was at the airport flying to San Francisco to a show, and Common was on the same airplane as me. And I just stopped breathing.
Did you talk to him or did you just stare at him?
Luckily, we had mutual friends, so I kind of had my in. But I texted my sister. I was like, I don't know what to do. She was like, and I texted my husband. He was like, I would stop breathing too. Because it's common. He's done so much. But so that's like probably the main one that I've been super starstruck by. Like, oh my God. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, I've met so many celebrities. Like I said, I'm friends with a good amount of them. So I'm not really phased that much. But there are a few people that I'm just like, whoa. I feel like if I saw Beyonce, I'd freak out. If I saw Bruno Mars, I'd freak out.
Everybody would freak out.
Yeah.
People. Yeah.
Like those top musicians.
Those are icon people,
absolutely.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, absolutely.
Now, in Fancounters, we love hearing about our guests' encounters with their fans. So we're kind of curious for you to tell us about some of the experiences that you might have had with your fans that stand out as memorable in your mind.
Some of them are more heart-wrenching than like crazy fans. I'm lucky in any like crazy fan encounters. But there's this one fan that I have. Her name's Sarah Flood. and she messaged me on Twitter. Well, her mom actually messaged me on Twitter because she suffers from seizures. And her mom told me that my music is the only thing that will stop her from having a seizure. It really reminded me how powerful music is. It reminded me that we as artists have such an important job when people find us and latch onto us and latch onto what we're doing, that we truly can change other people's lives. So that one, and I'm still in touch with her and her family. You know, I try to tell her happy birthday every year. It's been a few years, but things like that are really important to me to keep relationships like that. So that's definitely one that stands out for me. That's very, very special, and really changed me.
Awesome. Have you had any kind of weird fans come up to you, even during a meet and greet, or just strange things happen to you from anybody?
Yes, and I had a lot of my close friends that were working my merch table at one of my shows that still talk about this, and we have like a group thread about it. I have one lady really for some reason was trying to convince me to come be a part of her karaoke night, and I was like, I don't know if that's going to happen, but thank you. And then she kept, it was so funny. She kept talking about how, you know, she was in the industry and like she used to work with MC Hammer and she used to work with Jamie Foxx and all of this stuff. And she's like, and I have this karaoke night that I think that you'd be great for. And I was like, thanks, I'm flattered, but I don't know. Like, she kept
I think I'd like to sing my own songs.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It was just so funny. It was one of those moments that the person like just wouldn't stop talking and wouldn't let up, and I'm like, I don't know how to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to other people. Yeah, that's definitely one of the funniest and more memorable ones for sure.
Thank you for the invite, but kindly no.
Yes.
That's not happening.
Yeah, basically.
That's funny. Well, thanks for sharing those stories with us.
Of course.
And that's what podcasting's all about. And you, more than anybody, knows that because you have a podcast called Boss Please. So for our listeners who are unfamiliar with it, tell us what it's about.
Yeah, Boss Please, I created with two of my friends, Jillian Leff and Megan Montang, really to shine light on female bosses in any given career field. So we've had women on the show from stay-at-home moms, CEOs, to estheticians, to teachers, to assistant directors, just women that are killing it in their fields, and specifically also women that might work in more male-dominated industries. And it's been incredible to hear all of the different stories and paths and journeys of these women and how they got to where they are. And I'm also intrigued by different stories of people, because everybody, you don't realize like the struggles that people go through and the adversity that people face. You just see the end result, and people think, oh, somebody's successful, like it seems like it was easy for them, but you have no idea what some people go through to get to where they are. So I love being able to shine light on individual women's stories, and you know, hopefully it encourages and empowers other women to do the same. And we even have men that listen to the show because they just love the conversation, and it's very encouraging and fun and inspiring. And, you know, we talk about other topics that can affect everybody, just about like how to do interviews or how to stay healthy and, you know, how to have me time, things like that. And we're about to celebrate our 1-year anniversary, and I'm really excited just to see where it goes. We've had some incredible guests. It's been great. It's been really crazy. It's great.
Now, I'm sitting next to a very powerful female boss because Elizabeth used to be my boss.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you, sweetheart.
So, yeah.
I love that.
So, but congratulations on the year. And tell me what challenges you've faced. Tell me what challenges you've faced in doing this podcast, in launching and getting it going and sustaining it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm sure you guys can attest to any of this, but technical issues are always a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just audio is just nobody's best friend. So that's always been an issue. And then, you know, people having to reschedule and figuring out schedules when you have 3 hosts and then a guest. So that's 4 people's schedules that you have to try to work around, and it's hard. You know, with me touring, and then the other 2 have very demanding jobs as well. And so that's always been a struggle. And just, you know, finding the right vibe, because we all have 3 different personalities, which is great, but it's also can be an issue as far as figuring out how to brand the show and how we want things to look. It doesn't exactly agree with what the other person thinks. So it's always hard when you're working with more than one person, but you eventually figure it out, and we have. So I love where it's been and where it's going.
That's awesome.
In the beginning, it was definitely hard.
Oh, I completely agree. It took us a while to figure out all
but
this stuff.
Nick does a beautiful job of doing all of the legwork and the back stuff, and so it's easier with just the 2 of us because we work very, very well together. But Nick does the majority of the work, and I just show up and ask the nice questions. So it works out great for me, but I think.
Well, yeah, this is funny. A few episodes ago, and I don't know if anybody really noticed because I did try and fix it, but my kids, the studio's in my basement, so my kids sometimes, they know like this is off limits, but after I recorded an interview, I realized they had like messed up with my mic settings, so I sounded like I was in a tin can.
Oh, no.
And I was like, how am I going to fix this? So I did the best I could, but yeah, I completely understand about having random audio issues you didn't even know you had when you recorded.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It can be a struggle.
A couple things about Boss Please that I love is, and you mentioned it, it's geared towards women, but you and your co-hosts really present information that men can find helpful as well. I don't feel alienated when I listen to the podcast, which kudos for that. Mm-hmm. It really is for men and women. But what I'm curious about is your release of shows. It seems kind of like every other week you do a short show and then you have a long interview show. Is that like your format? Is that done on purpose or for timing? I was just curious about your format.
Yeah, no, so we have the show with the interviews, and then we wanted to do something that was kind of like a tips and tricks thing. Mm-hmm. So we released, it's called Boss Confidential. And just like I said, we do different things like how to stay healthy, how to, do interviews, just little things to help you remain staying a boss. So, so we do those in between, and they're like really short shows, maybe like 10 minutes. And they're really fun. Yeah, I really like those a lot.
Sometimes the concise episodes are more powerful because your message is there and then you're done. So, I like it.
Yeah. So we told our listeners at the start of the show about your endorsement of Valana Minerals, which is a cruelty-free cosmetic geared toward women of color. How did you first become aware of this brand? And tell us about it.
I'm an expert Googler.
Okay.
That's literally how that happened, because I was getting very frustrated trying to find the right makeup for myself, but I really wanted to, because I am vegan. I've been vegan for 12 years now, and I really wanted to find a good cruelty-free makeup. And now I think that there are more options, but when I found Valana, I think this was almost 5 years ago, they were one of the only ones, and it was geared towards women of color. And, we all have different undertones, which was really cool. So I Googled them, and my husband ended up sending a message, because my husband helped co-manage my career, and he sent a message. It was like, my wife really loves your product. She's a singer-songwriter, send like my press kit and everything. And we ended up collaborating, and I ended up becoming the face of the product. So it's really cool, and I love it, and everybody should try it because it's just great.
So
product.
Where is it available?
So right now it's online, and it is in some Whole Foods stores, mostly in the Midwest and the South.
Okay.
But it's mostly an e-store. Yeah.
Because I have a daughter of color. I am white, but she is not. And we just recently had a performance that we had to do. And she Irish dances. And so they wanted makeup on her.
Oh, I love that.
And they wanted makeup on her. And, of course, I'm like, here, try this really rosy cheek thing. And then as soon as I put it on her, I'm like, I can't see that. And the lipstick I put on you doesn't work either. So I looked at the people, and my daughter happens to be the only girl of color in this particular Irish dance troupe. And so they hadn't ever put together a makeup kit for her. Like all the other dancers were like, here's the makeup kit for your daughter. And I went, okay, well, this is the best I can do because I don't even know where to start. Like, this is completely out of my realm of box. But
being 9, she's not really wearing makeup.
I don't want her wearing it all the time. Yes, but we do have shows that I need. I mean, at least need like a lipstick you can see on her and some blush you can see from some far away. But so I will look that up. But it's very difficult if you. I mean, I can't even match a color for myself. I'm like, I don't know what base that should be. It's awful.
Yeah.
But yes, I will take a look online.
You should. It's really, really good products.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, Malynda, I stalk my guests before you come on the show, just so I can try and know as
I
much
love that.
about you than
He does.
maybe more than
Yeah.
you do. So, I went to your IMDb page. I see that you have starred in a TV series called 202, but I'm not familiar with the show.
Mhm.
So, I was hoping you
Yeah,
could fill me in.
We did two seasons, and it was really great. I actually got to co-produce it as well, and it was a lot of fun. It was a learning experience for sure. Trying to do that as well as a singing career is a lot of work, but it's really, really great cast, great crew, and I would love to work with all of those people again. It was a good time. Yeah, so it was on YouTube, and it was great. It was really, really fun, and no complaints, honestly. I loved every single person that I worked with on that show.
So, is the best way to find it on YouTube really to just type in 202 TV series?
Yeah,
or?
just type 202 the series. Yep.
Awesome. All
Okay,
right.
so as the producer or one of the producers of the show, how did you overcome bringing those episodes to life? I mean, obviously, this isn't an easy endeavor.
It was very difficult.
You seem to
I
like
will
these
say
big
that for
challenges.
sure. It was very difficult. I think the biggest thing with trying to do a TV series is obviously money. There's just never enough money
Okay.
to do anything.
There's never enough people to give it to you either, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was the hardest thing. But we made it work with the budget that we had and were given, and I'm proud of the work that we did with the show. And yeah, I mean, we had to figure out a lot of things and really cut corners. But I think when you are creating something from the ground up and hoping that it takes off, even if it doesn't, like, you're proud that you can even get it filmed. You know, some people don't even get to that step. So I'm glad that we were able to even do 2 seasons of 10 episodes of each season, and it was great.
That's
really
amazing.
So give us a synopsis of the show.
So I would say the show is, the best way for me to describe it is like friends and living single combined.
Okay.
It's 3 roommates living together. Well, 2 roommates, and then they get a 3rd roommate, and the 3rd roommate and one of the other roommates don't get along at all, and then one of the roommates has secrets. It's like a typical roommate show. So
Okay.
it's really fun. It's really relatable. You know, living in LA, trying to achieve your dreams, you know, nothing that anybody can't relate to.
Now, Malynda, there's a project also on that page that I cannot actually wait to see. It's called Agenda X. And according to the IMDb page, the film explores the way media influences society. It says, who sits atop all these programming decisions, and are they using their power for good or evil? I have to say, I don't think this movie could be any more timely than it is right now. So do you have anything that you can add about when we can expect to see this project and any details?
I don't know when it's expected. I know they're in post-production right now, but I will say that the script was so original, and it definitely is timely. So I'm hoping that I don't think it's coming out this year, but hopefully by next year it's coming out. But it's really what I think people think about but are afraid to say. And I think the writers and producers of that movie took a big risk with the content that they have in it, because it's very original, but it's what people think about. I think it's such a cool idea, and I'm excited for people to see it.
I mean, I truly think that that's the way, as you know, America is going to start questioning all the programming that's put in front of you and your children, and what is the actual target? Like, so many shows even now are so politicized. It's so obvious. They're not even hiding it anymore.
Right.
So
I know.
So what do you think about the way that music and movies and even advertising impacts our world right now? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It freaks me out, to be honest. You know, I like, for example, just if you're talking about something, and I've noticed this so many times, and so have my friends, and all of a sudden you start seeing ads about it on Facebook, that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm being spied on, and it's really, I don't know, it scares me, and I just don't know where we're going to end up. I think media and technology are a good thing, but they definitely have their cons for sure. And I wish we could figure out a way to focus on the positive aspects of it and for them not to kind of use us a little bit. It scares me, to be honest, sometimes when I think about it and think about the depth of how media and technology and politics and everything affects so much of our daily lives, and we don't even realize it.
Well, I was reading an article the other day that this new generation, the ones that are in grade school now, are the first generation to never, ever not have a smartphone. Like they will never have all of that technology in the palm of their hands. And Nick and I have talked about this before. I'm so old. I remember when we got a microwave and we all stood in front of it and were amazed it could cook a dinner that fast.
Oh my gosh!
And
I
went to college.
I mean, I still remember AOL.
Yeah.
AOL.
Oh
Welcome.
yeah. Well, you have mail. But, the funny thing is that, we had an issue at our house the other day with the telephones, and we have a landline still, and we have the hands free, or the cordless telephones. And I had to call the telephone company saying, there's something wrong with the phones. The line's not working. It's very crackly, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, well, you need a plug-in phone. And I said, ma'am, I actually still have the one from 35 years ago in my college dorm downstairs plugged in. And it's also crackly. I mean, I still have a plug-in to the phone, old pink,
I love it.
push the buttons phones. And every time it rings, my kids are like, what is that? What is that noise?
So funny.
But yeah,
that's hilarious.
The changes in the media, and I mean, my son plays on his iPad. He's 12, like for hours at a time, and I can hear him in there going, "Oh, stop it with the ads!" And I'm thinking, gosh, they have to pay for this somehow. I get it, but you keep popping this crap in front of my kids every time he's playing a game.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Hard.
Honestly,
it's hard.
It really is.
So if you could only tell stories, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program. Malynda, if you could tell stories only one way, would you do it by acting or singing?
Ooh, I still think singing. I still think singing for sure. I do love acting, but music has always been my number one and always will be my number one. So I would choose singing and music over anything else for sure.
Your career is now in the spotlight. And what have you learned about yourself since becoming a celebrity?
Oh, well, I've kind of been preparing for this since I was like 5.
Okay.
I've always wanted to make it so I really haven't changed. I've always, and that's the one thing my husband has said, like, as he's watched my career grow, because he's been with me. We've been together 9 years, so he was there when, I was like crying in the corner, like this is never going to happen. But he said, you've never changed. My friends are like, even in your busy schedule, I don't know how you find time to hear about my problems. And I'm like, you're still my friend. Like, that's just who I am. And I will always be a generous, loving person. I always put people first. Even in my busy schedule, I try to make time for people. So I wouldn't say it's something that I've learned about myself, but I made a vow that I would stay true to who I am, and I've kept that vow. So I'm more proud of myself that I haven't changed in that sense.
Great.
Because it's important to me to stay authentic.
We're going to end today with some very fun questions. So hopefully these are not hard. I know with the last couple, you're like, oh, man.
It's a lot of pressure, man.
I got to choose. And so this is, here's the fun stuff. We're going to get to know you a little bit. So if we looked in your fridge right now, what would we find?
Kombucha, vegan cheese, and Kite Hill Greek yogurt. Because I need to go grocery shopping.
3 things. That's it.
Yes.
That always amazes me when people open their fridge, like yours, Nick, is like clean and like you can find things. I open my fridge and I'm digging and lowering and laying and looking underneath the glass shelves to see if I can find the bottom of something.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Every time I come over.
I have a little bit of OCD, so my fridge is super organized, incredibly organized.
So summer is coming to a close really fast. Did you have any great summer fun adventures?
I mean, touring was a huge summer fun adventure. Just being able to go around the country and perform. I loved it. And my husband was able to come with me in my first week of tour, which was so cool because he doesn't really get to come with me that often because his job's so demanding. So that was amazing. And it was great being back in Chicago with him because he went to law school in Chicago. So we got to explore it a little bit when I wasn't performing. So I would say definitely just being on tour with my husband the first week was a really fun adventure.
Great.
Do you have a bucket list?
I do have a bucket list. So swimming with dolphins is at the top of my list.
Okay.
I have to do that. Singing with Gavin DeGraw, obviously.
Right.
We've already talked about that. And this sounds really funny, but this is, so I did achieve a bucket list. I did a Lifetime movie. I played a detective.
Awesome.
But I really want to be in a Hallmark Christmas movie, and I just want to be
Ooh.
like the best friend telling the girl, like, it's okay, like, he loves you, go be with him. Like that's the role I want. I know that sounds like such a small bucket list, but I really want to be in a Hallmark Christmas movie.
No, I get it, because I just said to my wife the other day, I can't wait for Hallmark movies, Christmas movies to come out.
Oh,
I'm so ready. I love them so much.
So I have to tell you this. One of the very early guests we had on, makes them, okay? And once you pull the curtain behind it, I can't believe you still want to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
They record those in 2 weeks in the middle of winter. I mean, the middle of summer.
Right, and they had to fake all the snow and stuff. Oh,
I mean, the stuff that he told us, I was like, well, I'm never watching those again. I can't believe you still want to watch it.
I would like to be in them too.
Everybody watches them, though.
Yeah.
Everybody watches them. I don't care who you are. You watch Hallmark Christmas movies.
I've seen them. Yes, I have. So if we checked on your DVR, what would be on your DVR right now?
I'm really behind on TV, but the one show that I will watch till I am dead in the grave is Grey's Anatomy. I will never stop watching that show. It could be on season 50 and I'll never stop watching it.
They lost me a couple seasons ago. I somehow missed something, and then I was like, okay, we're out. I tagged out.
They will have me forever. I would complain about it. I will say it's stupid. I will say this is going nowhere, but I will never not be there on Thursday night. They have me forever. Devoted so many years of my life to it, I can't go back.
You got to ride it out.
That's right. That's kind of how I felt in the beginning, too. I'm in this, man. We're just going to keep going.
Right.
Now, you and I have something in common because you're a Walking Dead fan, right?
Yes.
I'm obsessed with that show.
But it needs to end.
Oh, Malynda, don't say that.
I've never seen it.
Come on. It needs to end.
She doesn't watch scary stuff.
What more can they do?
I'm not really sure, but I do have a question for you about that. So the new season's just coming on weeks away. We're weeks away from that, which I'm super excited. Why do you think Rick saved Negan, and what do you think is going to become of Negan this season?
I don't even know who these people are.
Don't worry. Take your earphones off.
Okay.
We're good.
So, I think Rick always battles with good and bad. Always.
Yep.
And I think even though he has killed people, I think at his core he doesn't want to. And I don't know. I mean, it's hard to hate Negan 1 because it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Oh, I love him.
The heartthrob.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's a heartthrob, but I do love his acting.
He's such a good actor, right? So sometimes it is hard to hate him. But I think, now that we know, I'm sure you've heard that Andrew Lincoln is not coming back.
Yeah, that's
after the season. So I don't know. I've had some thought about what I think is going to happen, but I think Negan's going to end up killing him.
Ooh, twist! I like that. That never crossed my mind as a possibility.
Yeah,
I
do. Yeah.
Side note about Jeffrey Dean Morgan: did you see Rampage? The movie. It's based on the video game where the monsters tear down a city. But anyway, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in the movie. He's basically Negan in the movie. I was like, same character.
Oh my gosh.
He might as well have the name
That's
Negan
funny.
in that movie because it was the same kind
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Last question about that. If you could insert yourself into the show, who would be your on-screen best friend?
From any season?
Yeah.
From any season?
Yeah.
Or recent?
No, any season.
How many seasons have there been?
8.
Okay.
There's 8 seasons, so this is a tough one. I really just think Carol. I've just always thought she was so strong, and I'm obviously for the strong women. So I think her and I would get along really well.
Yeah. I thought Carol is because she was mothering at the beginning, and then now she's tough as nails, and I love it.
Oh my
she's
God,
got
I
both
love
sides.
her character arc. I really love her character arc and what they did with her. I think it's awesome.
Agreed. I don't know about you, but when I'm in a car driving around and I look at places, I tend to think of, would this be a safe place in a zombie apocalypse? If that happens, am I going here? Do you do that?
All the time. And my husband and I always talk about okay, if we had a bunker, where would we build it?
Right.
Okay, and this is why I don't watch these shows.
But you have to think about these things.
No, I
You
really
know
don't.
what's going to happen.
Because I don't think there's going to be a zombie apocalypse.
Okay, we also didn't think that iRobot would happen, but now we have robots that like cook for you and like have human faces. So I'm just saying you should be prepared for anything.
Okay. All righty then. I have no appropriate response for this.
Ay. All right, the last thing we're hoping to do with you, Malynda, is to play a game. We started this a few weeks ago with our guests where we do 30 favorites. And so I will list just one word things or a couple words, and then you just, whatever comes to your head as your favorite, you tell me. And then we're timing them, and we're going to see who, after the next year of shows, can have the best time.
Awesome.
So you don't want to
cool.
explain your answer. You don't want to waste any time.
Blurt it out.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. I'm hitting the timer as soon as I say my first word. Movie.
Minority Report.
Book.
Love, Simon.
Color.
Blue.
Actor.
Ooh, Bradley Cooper.
Superhero.
Superman.
Fruit.
Apples.
Vegetable.
Asparagus.
Ice cream.
Neutrogena.
TV show.
Grey's Anatomy.
Candy.
Red Vines.
Restaurant.
Cheesecake Factory.
Article of clothing.
Jeans.
Music artist.
Gavin DeGraw.
Board game.
Life.
Sport.
Basketball.
School subject.
Music.
Car.
Honda Civic.
State. What's your favorite state?
California.
What city?
Los Angeles.
What's your favorite drink?
Kombucha.
Number.
8.
Cereal.
Spoonfuls. Barbara Spoonfuls.
Store.
Trader Joe's.
Cartoon.
Animaniacs.
Season. Season of the year.
Fall.
Cookie.
Chocolate chip.
Chips.
Tortilla chips.
Day of the week.
Monday.
There you go. 1 minute and 45. That's pretty high on our list.
job.
Everybody's been hitting the 150s, so you did well. Very good.
Awesome.
Good job.
I love that. Thanks.
So, what can we expect from you for for the rest of 2018 and 2019?
So I am working on a couple of Christmas songs, which I'm really excited because I haven't done many Christmas songs before. So I'm hoping to release those right before Thanksgiving.
Excellent.
And then I have a single that's coming out in January called All Around the World, and I'm really excited about the message that it conveys in that song. It's going to be amazing. And then I'll start working on a follow-up to The One and doing probably 5 more tracks and then re-releasing it as a full album. So I'm got a lot of things in the works right now I'm looking forward to.
Where can we find you on social media?
Everything is just at Malynda Hale, MaLyndahale. Keep it very simple.
And Malynda Hale's got her new album out this past June. It's on iTunes. That's where I downloaded it from. It's called The One, so head over there and get that music. And Malynda, thanks so much for being here with us today. We had a great time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
Our thanks to Malynda Hale for joining us this week on Fancounters. That was an awesome conversation.
Super sweet.
Totally enjoyed that.
Loved her.
She was talking about writing out Grey's Anatomy until the end, and it reminded me of the show Seventh Heaven. Because I felt like that after like season 7, and they kept going. And 8 came, 9 came, 10 came, and then 10 was going to be it. And they switched networks and did season 11. And I'm like, gosh, darn it. Now I got to stay watching this show because I had been with it for 7 years.
Well, that's kind of how I felt about Grey's Anatomy. And then I started like missing them because I was busy on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And so I DVR'd them. And then one day I realized there was like 30 episodes on the DVR. And I was like, okay, just erase
I
them
don't
all.
even care about it.
I can't catch up anymore. I am too far behind. So I tapped out.
So funny. All right, guys, you can follow us on social media at Fancounters Live on Twitter and Instagram. We're also on Facebook. It's our biggest group. And that is found by searching Fancounters on Facebook. And you can email us
at hello@fancounters.com.
You can tell us all the people that you want to hear about on the show. We've got some amazing guests coming up.
You have lined up some good ones coming down the pike.
Yeah. And once you get the kids back in school, it's amazing how much more time I'll have to dedicate to this podcast. Because remember, we were going to break for the summer.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
And then we joined a network and we're like, I guess we're staying on the air.
Yeah.
And it's been so tough writing these interviews, getting guests, and
yeah, so if you hear the kids in the background, that's because we've had to drag all 4 children together and they're banging and talking and stomping, and we're sorry. They'll be gone soon.
Thankfully. But yeah, so it's nice that they start school on Monday, actually. Whew, thank goodness. I'm glad we start before Labor Day, because if I had one more week of summer, I would lose it.
Yeah, I have one more week of summer.
All
All right,
right, guys.
everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This was a podcast from the PodFix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.